LeBron James. Shaq said LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, best backcourt duo ever.
Not a backcourt.
But it's a duo. Yeah, I was going to say, even though they aren't a backcourt, that's his sort of description of them. The thing is, this has been brought up. They struggled at the end of last season. They struggled to close it out in the NBA Finals. Should they be broken up? Should one of them be traded away?
I can't say definitively that they should be broken up. Obviously, they could have, and both of you and I agree, should have won the NBA championship last year. But they really aren't a great fit together. They're both such tremendous players. They're both all-time greats, and they're unselfish players, and they're good friends. So I think that combination made it work. But they aren't the best fit. There were still, most of that last season, including the playoffs, it was one of them getting off, the other one playing maybe well or even struggling. Against Chicago, LeBron was great. Wade struggled. Against the Dallas in the finals, obviously, Wade was very good. LeBron struggled. So I just think you need to consider. There are too many great players out there that are available for you not to even consider it. Chris Paul is going to be available because he's not going to stay in New Orleans. So would you do a Dwayne Wade for Chris Paul trade where you have Chris Paul, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh? Now LeBron's more like a true small forward. He'd average 30 points a game. He wouldn't have the ball handling duties. Same thing with Darren Williams with New Jersey. But the real trade that you might want to seriously consider, Dwight Howard. He wants to stay in Orlando, but he wants them to make some moves. They don't look like they can make major moves to make them a contender. If you're Pat Riley, do you offer Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh for Dwight Howard? So now, and you say, well, why trade Dwayne rather than LeBron? That's a good point, because there is the question about LeBron closing out. We saw him struggle in the finals to do that. But he's 26. Dwayne is 29. Dwayne plays a reckless style, always in the air, has gotten hurt a lot. You wonder, he doesn't have as many years left at the elite level as LeBron does. You get LeBron and Dwight Howard, now you've got arguably the most dominant perimeter player, I would argue that, most dominant big man, maybe the two best defenders in the league, and with a new, maybe a hard cap coming in, you only got 2 max players versus 3 max players, so now you can get other very good role players around them. I'm not saying I would definitely do it, but that's something, if I'm Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, I'm watching film closely, figuring out, can these two really excel at their maximum level together? And if not, do I think a Dwight Howard would be a better fit?
You really don't like Dwayne Wade.
I like Dwayne Wade a lot. Don't even go there. I like Dwayne a lot. He's a great
Not one time.
And he's an all-time
In all those scenarios you just laid out, not one time did you suggest that LeBron should be traded.
I explained why. Because you got a 29-year-old player who's going to be 30 next year, who 3 of his 8 seasons, he's played fewer than 62 games. LeBron's never played fewer than 75.
Dwayne Wade has 5 great years left in him.
I hope so,
yeah,
but
you know
I don't know it. He plays, he's in the air a lot.
Let's do your scenario. You trade Wade and Bosh for Dwight Howard. Now you wind up with 2 LeBron Jameses on the same team.
Wait a second. That's bad?
Wait a second. 2 postseason underachievers known for disappearing. Disappearing. Yes, he does.
When did he disappear?
Come on.
When did he disappear?
Against the Atlanta Hawks this year. Go look at it.
He didn't play well.
Yeah, he goes quiet.
Please.
Come on. You'd have 2 guys.
It wasn't Dwight's fault that they lost that series.
You'd have 2 guys whose mental toughness I often question because they deserve to be questioned. You'd want that? That would be a disaster.
It's fair to I mean, after what we saw in the finals, you can say that, but...
Which is why I'm giving your guy LeBron a break here. I'm saying there's no way I want to trade anybody. They should have swept Dallas. They were on the precipice. They should have. When you're up 16 with 5 minutes to go, come on. That's a joke that you don't close that out and finish it off. And I kept saying here, you agreed with me. At 2-all in the NBA Finals, it felt more like a sweep than 2-all. So you know they were favored. They should have. They're favored to win next year, right? So they can figure this out. I have high respect for LeBron's ability and his basketball IQ and his friendship with Dwayne. I thought Dwayne deferred to a fault to him this year and needs to take over more late. And if he'd done that more in the NBA Finals, we would not be having this.
Not enough.
Not enough. Not in Game 2, he didn't. Not enough.
Game
Come on.
2?
Yeah,
Isn't that the game with
that's when they were isolating LeBron and he kept bouncing
That was the last shot he took, I think, at that point.
You
get
they
cheers,
didn't
LeBron.
lose the finals because Dwayne didn't take over. They lost the finals
They lost
largely
game
because
2.
LeBron didn't play like himself.
Okay, but I'm saying they're so much better than anybody else. It's a joke.
But are they a great fit?
They weren't this year.
That's the only question. If you get a dominant post player like Dwight and a dominant perimeter player like LeBron, that's a more natural fit. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not saying definitely pull the trigger. I'm just saying put on your thinking cap, Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, and really look at this and say, can they coexist and be the best they can be together? Right. If not...
Got to move on, guys. Got to move on. 2011-2012 season, Shaq said the Miami Heat only have the big 2 and knocked Chris Bosh out of the conversation, so to speak. Inbounds or out of bounds for Shaq to say this?
I thought Shaq was dead on with this comment because if you watch the NBA Finals, it was clearly just the big 2.
I knew it.
It was all Wade and all Bosh.
Yeah.
Am I right, Chris?
No, I mean,
it's clearly the big 2.
Look, I've put the finals largely on LeBron, but no, let's not go that far.
Okay, that's clearly not what Shaq meant, as you said, Dana, which is why this was out of bounds. Just because of Chris Bosh's playoff performance, it was consistently, to me, better than LeBron's, especially in the finals. He averaged 19 and 9 for the whole playoff run, Chris Bosh did. And I was very hard on Chris Bosh during the regular season when he deserved it, and I nicknamed him Bosh Spice. But that was after 1 for 18 at Chicago and 7 points and 4 rebounds against Portland in that terrible hit-bottom home loss, remember, on that Monday night. You didn't hear me use Bosh Spice one time during the playoff run when he consistently, not just impressed me, he shocked me with his performance. So in the end, I'm just hoping that as a commentator, Shaquille O'Neal doesn't just pick on cliched, easy targets where he could bully an Erica Dampier type situation. That's what this reminded me of. What I wanted Shaq to say in his first big stance as a commentator was, LeBron James has a lot to prove in the postseason before I proclaim him a great player. That's strong. This was easy.
Yeah, and he did. Now, maybe he fully believes. You know, he talked about LeBron. He said LeBron listens to everything that's said about him. He will come back stronger. Maybe Shaq fully believes that. With Bosh, there's no way he was throughout the playoffs better than LeBron.
I don't know about that,
LeBron was great
Chris.
Against Boston, great against Chicago when Wade struck. Yes.
Maybe in game 5s.
Oh, please.
Come on,
look,
Chris.
He didn't play well in the finals. We know that. But give him props for what he did against Boston and Chicago. Beyond that, Bosh was good in the playoffs. Very good. He did what he does. The finals, he only shot 40.
He didn't do what he does during the regular season.
The finals, he only shot 41%. But I don't agree with Shaq. Well, I do agree with him in that when you say it's a big 3, you're saying they're all fairly equal. You know, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. There's clearly a huge distinction between LeBron and Wade and then Chris Bosh. And I think he's a very good player. He's legitimately a perennial all-star. Last year, his struggles during the regular season, I put most of them on Eric Spoelstra because Spoelstra should have made him had him on the block more. He should have had him roll into the basket on pick and rolls versus picking and popping and just being a jump shooter. Even late in the season, they did that for a small stretch at the end of the year and then got away with it. So got away from it. So I put a lot of that on Spoelstra. Bosh was good, and he's a very good player, but he is not on the level of LeBron and Wade. And last summer, he was overrated because he got the LeBron-Wade treatment. He got more love.
Okay,
he was coveted more than Amari Stoudemire.
Okay. But he was
a better player.
Okay, but he was a perennial all-star.
Oh, he's a legitimate perennial all-star.
And I think we all ranked him in the top 20 players, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so look, during the regular season...
It was a little bit of a shot from Shaq, but I
look, Chris Bosh was overwhelmed during the regular season, and he was clearly the weak link of those 3. But once he came playoff time, weren't you shocked by his performance in the playoffs?
No.
Well, come on.
His numbers were similar. We're the same.
19 and 9 through the whole playoff run?
That's what he did for the regular season.
Well, but I mean, that was sensational.
Now, he had a couple great games against Chicago. And he played well. I
thought he played well against Dallas.
I'm not ripping his performance. I'm just saying I wasn't shocked. I mean, that's what he does.
That's